Welcome to Laguna Seca, Mazda Raceway at Laguna Seca in California for the 7th round of the 2001 American Le Mans Series Championship. Got a great day for racing here. It's a little bit overcast, not nearly as warm as what we've seen so far this weekend. In fact, our air temperature right now barely at 60 degrees, 81% humidity, and the wind's very light from the west. It is tight, narrow, very challenging. Here's how the front of the grid will start today's Monterey Sports Car Championship. Stefan Johansson on the outside of the front row with Patrick Lemery. That's one of the Audis. First time they've been in this country in quite a while. Your pole sitter is Capello. Second row, Frank Biela, Emanuele Pirro, and the other Yost Audi. That's the 2 car starting third. And the Panos that's won 2 of the last 3 events. David Brabham, Jan Magnussen in car number 50, lining up 4th. Your 5th starter, the other Panos LMP1, Lagorce and Graf will share that machine today. That's car number 51. And the 3rd row is shared with the champion Audi, Andy Wallace, and Formula 1 star Johnny Herbert in car number 38.
This will be interesting because remember the temperatures are not normal. Oh, the Panos almost got pinched onto the wall right at the start, but didn't hit. Now watch for cold tire problems. They will not have much traction right now.
The 2 Audis jockeying the 2 car all the way to the lead in turn 2. 1 car spun. Johansson has gone around.
And that's exactly what I just talked about. Those Michelin tires are so cold right now. Now up at the front of the field, one of the Panos has made a great start. There's none. Unbelievable. One of the Yost cars, the number 1 car, has gone off again. How many mistakes can they make on opening laps?
Capello and Christensen will share that car, and they are way back in line now amidst the GT machines.
Everybody wiggling. You see a Panos right along. Oh, boy, and he just simply got underpowered way too early. And the Panos, well, this is magic. Again, they have stolen the lead from the highly favored Yost Audis.
Watching the champion Audi, the 38 car. Magnussen, the 50, is out in front. Biela in the 2, running in 2nd spot. That's one of the Yost factory Audis. And then the champion car, Johnny Herbert, starting that machine. And how about Max Angelelli sitting 4th in the Cadillac?
Yeah, Angelelli doing a really nice job right now. Now, good news for the champion fans is actually this morning in warm-up, Johnny Herbert had the fastest warm-up time of all. Got out of the car and said, this is the car that we haven't had all season long.
The Saleen S7 is once again the fastest car here, fielded by Conrad Motorsports. The 3rd pole position in a row for this team, but they haven't won on US soil since Sebring way back in March. They're trying to break their luck a little bit here today. Franz Conrad, as you see here in the pit, typically starts the car, but they got their fast man, Terry Borchella, behind the wheel, hoping to open up a big enough lead to turn it over to France and take it to the checkered flag. Now for more on the GT story, let's go down to Martin Haven.
Last year, the American Le Mans Series GT class was ruled by Porsche. This year, the Porsches are having a tougher time, and the reason is a brand new BMW. Now, this weekend, the men who make the rules from France, the Automobile Club de l'Ouest that rule Le Mans, have brought in a new air restrictor to try and slightly limit the power of the new BMW and even up the playing field. Now, I'd like to be able to show you exactly how they've done that, but the measurements involved are so tiny that it's really almost impossible. What they've done is, if you can look here, airflow into the engine goes through a size 30 millimeters wide. That's a little wider than the neck of this water bottle. Now, they've narrowed it on the BMW from 30.4 millimeters to 29 millimeters, which is about the width of a dime, narrower across the whole entrance. Well, what is the difference? The difference is the BMW has lost a little bit of top-end speed, a little bit of punch out of the corners, and with the inclines here around Laguna Seca, that has made the battle closer between Porsche and BMW. So much so, in fact, that Sascha Massen's Porsche was fastest in the morning warm-up and qualified 3rd. That is the race situation at the moment, but nobody will be drawn on how it will go in the final race at the Petit Le Mans. It could all change again.
Watching J.J. Leto with one of those newly more restricted V8 BMWs, Bill, but he's been the class of the field here in the early going. He and his teammate Frederick Ekblom running 1-2 in GT.
He is, and he is driving so well. I think that's a large part of it. You see York Muller and J.J. Leto, they're ahead by a little bit, not a huge gap. Sascha Massen and Lucas Luhr could easily catch up.
Meantime, Frank Biela has gotten by the Panos in car number 2, so one of the Yost Audis back out in front.
And I wonder maybe this is something to do with the Panos as well, because the one thing that they have to worry about is fuel mileage. Now, the Yost Audis, as we told you all season long, they benefit from a direct injection in the motors. They get phenomenally good gas mileage, really, really good. which means they can run at a harder pace longer than anybody else.
And finding himself back in the lead, Bill Adam, is Jan Magnussen in the Panos.
He got a terrific launch off this uphill straight, and this takes tremendous courage. It seems so narrow up there. You're flying up here at 170 miles an hour. Was cleanly by. Vila didn't even challenge him for the braking.
And we showed you how Capello went off track early, cost him a lot of positions. Capello back in fourth now, but he is almost a full lap behind.
It's something that we've talked about too, is the fact that the Yost team really have the Audi deal because they come as close to perfection as possible. Now, one of their drivers, one of their lead drivers, Capello, has made 3 major mistakes in 3 successive races, so he has got to be worrying about his own personal future.
In GTS, meantime, Terry Borcheller, car number 26. That is the Saleen SR7 with that big block Saleen motor that's based on a Ford. Of course, Steve Saleen, the constructor with a long history with the Ford Motor Company. The lead over the GTS Corvette nearly, well, it's 37 seconds, a half a lap, you might say, around here.
Almost a different class.
Okay, well, Magnussen brings it in. We anticipate he's going to stay in the car. It should be fuel only. Typically, when the driver stays in, they try not to change tires. But again, I think Donnie's giving them the thumbs up on the Michelin tire front, so it should be fuel only.
Back at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, coverage of the Monterey Sports Car Championships presented by Mazda here on NBC Sports. As we take a look at your overall top 5, the Audi, Frank Biela, Emanuele Pirro will get into that car a little later. They're back out in front. The Panos, the red machine, car number 50, Jan Magnussen. They have had some problems in the last few moments. Magnussen looked as though he was catching Biela again for the overall lead. But Magnussen had problems getting by one of the slower GT machines just a few moments ago. We'll show that to you here.
And we've seen him. He actually was in a position of challenging very, very close to the number 2 car. And since that contact, he's dropped back to over 5 seconds behind. So I think right now it's a combination. He's being very careful, and he doesn't quite have the handling that he had before.
Meantime, we have problems on pit road. Magnussen has spun the Panos. We'll get to Calvin in a moment. Magnussen trying to enter pit road in the 50 car. He's gone around. He's against the tire barrier. Let's get to Calvin.
Well, we're down here at the entrance to pit road. Magnussen backed in. They're trying to gain every valuable tenth of a second. And as we said before, the car is always fast here, but something seems to happen. And Jan Magnussen has made a mistake coming into pit lane.
Meantime, one of the Cadillacs, that's the top of the corkscrew, the 7, Emmanuel Collard has spun that machine, and he's high-sided it off. He's hung off the curb. We are hearing that a full course caution will come out for the first time here this afternoon. Let's show you the top 5 with about 45 minutes of racing left. One of the Yost Audis, the 2 car, Emanuele Pirro driving that machine along with Frank Biela. They're out in front. But Bill Adam, it has been a wild afternoon to get to this point. Let's show you how we got to where we are right now with less than an hour of racing to go.
As we said before, the car is
Jan Magnussen apparently got butted coming onto pit road by Johnny Herbert. There's been a lot of discussion. Magnussen had led the race in the 50. He spun into the tires, a very hard hit. The number 1 car, meantime, is out of the race. They apparently burned up a clutch. Capello and Tom Christensen driving. Christensen was so disgusted, he said, hey, I'm going to jump the wall and go home early. Now, Klaus Graf was driving the other Panos, the 51. He was up into third and trying to challenge for second. Went off the course not once but twice. Magnussen, or rather the 18 car, Johansson ran out of fuel on the racetrack. And all of this handed the lead over to Johnny Herbert in the champion Audi, the 38 car. There's been a great battle in GT, and we've seen a lot of action here. One of the Milner PTG BMWs running out of road there. He was in contention with the 23 of Lucas Moore. Here's Graf in the 51. There was body damage on the right side of the car. The second trip into the dirt really caused heavy damage. They've had to retire the car. There was under tray damage. Some debris was knocked up underneath the race car. There was even a fire under the car at one point. So Herbert was all alone out in front of the 38. But he had to come to pit road, of course. They had to change tires, refuel the car. Andy Wallace in the car now to go the rest of the way. And they assessed a stop-and-go penalty, or actually an extra penalty after the pit stop. We'll talk about that in a moment. Hans Stuck, meantime, on board one of the BMWs, the 6 car. He was in contact with one of the Porsches. You saw that a moment ago. And then Stuckey lost the car at the bottom of the corkscrew and hit the tires. Stuck is okay.
Yeah, the 2 cars still has to make a fuel stop. Now, we did see the champion car when they come in and put Andy Wallace back in the car. That means that they're effectively finished as far as pit stop goes for the rest of the day. The 2 car is leading but they do have to make one more stop.
Well, I may have done a disservice to Jan there. I thought he may have made a mistake entering pit road. I didn't see the incident, but on further review, actually tangled up with Johnny Herbert as they came through the very fast right-hand turn, turn 10, right before pit entrance. They touched. Jan actually spun off the track and backed it down the pit entrance and hit the wall pretty heavy. He's actually got a headache, he says, right now, so he's a little upset. The stewards reviewed the situation and assessed that it was rough driving by Johnny and gave that car a 20-second penalty on their pit stop, so cost them some time. Spoke to Herbert, he said, well, Jan actually changed his mind. He was going to the right to take up the line for the final corner, saw me coming down the inside, switched back to the left, and I was already there, couldn't get out of the way. So really one of those racing incidents. They're running hard, trying to get the win, but it certainly has cost both teams dearly.
Watching the GTS leader, the Saleen SR7. Team owner Franz Conrad at the wheel of this machine. Terry Borcheller started the car and did a great job. They were the pole sitters today. They've risen to 6th overall. And Bill Adam, they've got a substantial lead, 6 seconds in front of Johnny O'Connell in the Corvette.
It is about as dominant a performance as you can imagine. They have literally been perfect. Plus, they have already made their final stop. Johnny O'Connell in the Corvette still has to make a stop, so they're going to fall even further behind. The Saleen just simply has them covered today.
Emanuele Pirro brings the number 2 car in, the lead car. This should be a time fuel stop. There's about 30 minutes, a little more left in this event, so it's not a full load needed, and they're anxiously watching. Reinhold Jost taps the fuel man, gives him the okay, and Pirro's back on track. He should hold the lead over Andy Wallace.
They're going to have at least half a lap lead.
So that is not what the champion team, Dave Marriage, Andy Wallace, Johnny Herbert, that is not what they wanted to see.
No, not at all. Andy continues to try hard. The one thing I noticed the difference is that Andy Wallace has been very tentative going through traffic compared to Johnny Herbert, but then again, Johnny Herbert did knock Jan Magnussen into it.
Now take a look at this. Here is Wallace trying to get by one of the caddies into a corner.
Ooh.
One lap previous, had to jump on the brakes and the car wiggled badly. Taking a look at the overall running order up at the top of your screen as we watch Dirk Mueller in car number 43. 9th overall, one of the Schnitzer BMWs, leading at GT. His teammate York Mueller is back several seconds, about 8 seconds back.
At Mid-Ohio, we saw some team orders. York Mueller is leading this championship, and they held station there with Dirk Mueller very close to his rear bumper, but not able to take a move on him. Just after the caution period, Dirk Mueller made the move on York Mueller, I believe because the Porsche is putting some pressure on here today. Remember, at Mid-Ohio, they did have a lap lead. Here's a lot more intense in the competition up front, so I think they're allowing the faster of the BMWs to go to the front, and right now that's Dirk Mueller.
Meantime, the story of the 675 prototype class, interesting. 3 cars entered here this weekend. All 3 have had problems. Claudia Hurtgen often behind the wall early. The 2 Dick Barber cars, Scott Maxwell wrecked one of them coming off the corkscrew. Didier de Rodriguez and Milka Duno sharing the 5. They had problems. They fixed the 5 car, the suspension problem was referred to.
Didier has done 9 laps so far. He needs a 10th and final lap to gain points for this race, and that will give the Dick Barber Racing team the championship over the Nighthawk Lola. The car itself has done the minimum required distance to qualify as a finisher, but only if it takes the checkered flag.
De Rodriguez just trying to complete a couple of laps, get full points credit for the category win today, and thus lock up the driving championship in the 675.
And I believe that the lap he just did going out of the pits, even though you're in pit lane, you technically do cross start finish, so he does have enough to qualify there, and this ex-Grand Prix motorcycle racing world champion now will be the LM 675 champion this year, so congratulations to Didier.
De Rodriguez from Monaco. Second place car in GT, the 42, York Mueller. 10th overall. Down toward turn 5.
And it sure sounds like he is going awfully slowly.
Well, we got a report earlier that he got contact with the team and said, I've got some kind of strange vibration in the front end. They scurried around, typical Schnitzer deal, had a big powwow, and they determined that there's probably some tire buildup, not on the tire itself, but inside the rim. Sometimes they get a lot of rubber buildup as the marbles form out on the racetrack, and they think, just put the tire out of balance, and it's certainly cost him the win here today, unless Dirk hits trouble. But the Porsche keeps pressuring him, and they're trying to get some points back here. But Jorg is still in a good position here today to try and move ahead with this driver championship.
Andy Wallace has the bit in his teeth in the champion Audi.
Yeah, you saw it.
Shows him 6 seconds back, Bill.
Just up ahead.
Slowing the 43.
There we go. There's the 2 car right there. He's just up the end of the straight, and there's Wallace with lights head on. Now, I wonder what's going on, because a couple laps ago when he drove by the pits, he made some signal. So maybe they've lost radio contact and he has a mechanical problem, but Andy is hauling him in hand over fist right now.
So from 30 seconds back, Wallace has cut the lead down to 3.4 seconds back last time by. Here they are, Wallace on the gas.
I think he's going to haul him in. He is catching him so fast right now. Here's
the
straight.
two-car clearly off pace. Could the Yost team lose again here, this time at the very end?
The difficulty will be for Andy to find a place to get by him. He only really has one good passing spot left, and that is the tight left-hander coming out of the start-finish straight. Now, I think he's going to hang on there. He definitely will now. Wallace could not have caught that Porsche in a worse position, and look what it gives him.
Final corner. You see the pit entrance. Here comes Pirot slowly out of turn 11.
Wait a minute. He's got no Oh, man, Pirot. I thought he had lost the gearbox there for a second.
He will win. Pirot will bring the car home. Wallace loses by 1.6 seconds. Apparently a wounded two-car comes across as the overall winner. The Schnitzer BMWs will finish 1, 2 in GT, 9th and 10th overall. And a late race change. Jörg Mueller takes GT ahead of his teammate Dirk Mueller. And we watch Franz Conrad in car number 26, the Celine. He will win GTS, finish 6th overall. He's nearly a minute in front of Johnny O'Connell in the Corvette number 3.
Manuel Pirot, it looked very close there at the end. Were you just making it look great for the television cameras, or did you have a problem?
My goal is not to become an actor, and it's not up to me to make races interesting. The front tires I had a big push during the race, and there was just no more rubber in the tires. So also the team had a look at my teammate's tires, Frank Villa, when he stepped out, and the tires were pretty worn out. So they told me, please be very, very careful. So I was very careful, thanks God, because at the end it was just very, very difficult. One more lap and I had to take out the knife from the pocket and try to do something.
Well, we're down here with Jörg Mueller. Jörg, it looked like Dirk had a little bit more than you out there on the track. I know you had a tire vibration, but then team orders look like they're really pushing you for the championship right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one race to go after that, so I think it's allowed to have a little bit of pit politics at the moment. Dirk and Freddie, you know, thanks a lot to them. They did a fantastic job, were fast the whole weekend and let us by at the end. I mean, they're going to have a chance probably next year, but thanks to them. On the other hand, you know, I didn't push anymore at the end. I saw that I could pull away from 23 Porsche, and the 10 BMW was out of the race, I think, already. So they're the only competitors in the championship, so I just took it easy.
Really, the car was fantastic today, and it's just a real neat place to win here at Laguna Seca. Coming first full circle, and just really happy. It's been a long year. It's been a struggle, and we're just really happy. Franz did a great job as always, and we finally brought one home for the Celine.